money to pay for my examination, and I want it now, and I'm not going to fill out any of this. Nothing. And I'm paying cash. So let's go. And I admire this person's attack, if you will. But it's ridiculous. You know, do you own a firearm? Do you have this? Do you drive a car? Well, how much do you drive? I mean, all kinds of stuff. Excuse me. Seems to be going around.
Yeah.
I don't like any of this. I mean, the fact of the matter is for all these grandiose ideas of this future that these lunatic psychopath freaks. Do you have this? Do you drive a car? Well, how much do you drive? I mean, all kinds of stuff. Excuse me. Seems to be going around.
Yeah.
I don't like any of this. I mean, the fact of the matter is for all these grandiose ideas of this future that these lunatic psychopath freaks have and entertain. I'd as soon roll the clock back to about, I don't know, 1930, before all this outrageous stuff came along. I mean, look, how long do people really want to live? I mean, is 90 good enough? Government says 75. 75 is enough. Get out of here. Your useful years of productivity. And this socialized medicine. Didn't Rockefeller say that the key to control is a nationalized health system? I think it was Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Well, we've got it, and there's nothing we can do about it. We put this so-called new lot into Congress to get rid of it, to stop the immigration, and to stop the Obamacare, and it's really not happening. One judge whose name I got wrong, but I've corrected it because I've reached that point where I got to have the glasses to find the glasses. I left a letter out of his name, but he's the only one so far who stood up against this outrageous immigration deal. Which reminds me, this may be far afield for you. I suspect it's not, but maybe. If you don't want to go here, it's okay. But how does this massive wave of illegal immigration come legal immigration? How does that serve the technocracy? Or does it?
It does. It does. It breaks down society. It breaks down sovereignty. Just
That's it, isn't it? It breaks down sovereignty.
Yes, that's all it is. And they're refusing to close the border. The executive branch has steadfastly refused to enforce the laws on the books and even the direct mandates of Congress. They absolutely refuse to do it. They could do it in a heartbeat, but they refuse. I live in a border state. I know. There's a lot. They can stop the flow in a week if they wanted to.
Anytime they want.
They won't do it. They refuse to do it.
I understand Border Patrol is now being punished for apprehending or calling in reports of, I want to say it's 20 or more. Do not call in on large groups. Just let them come in.
Yes, they are. They're being, and if they buck the president instead of obeying the courts right now, if they buck the president has threatened them with retribution openly. You will obey me, not what the court says. There you go.
How do you deal with a guy like this, other than drag him by his hair and face out of the White House and toss him out into the street on his rump?
John, this is the face of technocracy. I'm sorry, I don't know any other way to put it. This is the face of technocracy. This is how it behaves. It's not going to be responsive to the people whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. It's not going to be responsive to Congress. It's only going to be responsive to itself. It will do what it decides to do because it believes that it is right. It believes that has the only lock on truth in the universe, and you don't. And so you will do what it decides or else, period. And that's the way they're playing it out. It's not just we can shout and shake our fist at Obama. Obama is not the problem. He's the puppet that's merely giving the party line. He's just the spokesman. He's not the originator of these policies. We need to see that. Well, look, a little bit more is going to come into this in just a second, I think, as we go along.
I'll tell you what, just roll with it, Patrick, because you got my head spinning off in a lot of different directions. My revolutionary spirit is being awakened more by the minute.
Maybe we should stop this and go take cold showers.
Nope.
Humanity is being transformed itself, and if you miss this Time magazine cover, got to go get it, look at it, and see if you can find the magazine on Amazon or something to buy it. This was in 2011, and the headline is 2045, the year man becomes immortal. This back to Ray Kurzweil and his crowd. Technology being applied for the enhancement of humanity. Humans 2.0 are on the way, as they tell us. And science is going to so accelerate on the next 25, 20 years that the immortality is certainly just right behind, and the human race is going immortal. I'm sorry. They want to they're talking about transforming humanity, and I got bad news for them. It ain't going to happen. It just, they think it's going to happen, but I suggest that they are thoroughly deceived in their own religious cult.
These are truly mad scientists.
They are truly mad scientists. That's exactly right, John.
And these are
the people that would rule over us, you see. Makes me nervous, doesn't it? Yes. So Christianity is being transformed as well. This is another interesting thing with the concepts of postmodernism, that the church, even the evangelical church, is being rapidly transformed to, so to speak, meet the needs of the postmodern society that we find ourselves in. This was done largely through the efforts of a management consultant starting back in the 80s by the name of Peter Drucker. He actually invented management consulting, the whole field. He was a genius, consulted with every Fortune 1000 company, I'm sure, somewhere along in his life, wrote scores of books. The guy was really a genius in that sense. But he was also an evangelist for a philosophy called communitarianism, which it's a little more complex than this. It's not directly related to communism, but we're pretty doggone close. It basically suggests that people need to succumb to the greater good for the community's sake. We've heard this all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Peter Drucker believed, and he was not a Christian, by the way. He even said, I am not a Christian. But he believed that society needed a leg on a three-legged stool that would support the religious side of society. So he proposed to bring communitarianism, the philosophy, into the church, the evangelical church, and create a new system of megachurches across the country that could have a societal impact on supporting the New World Order. We saw the rise of megachurches over the last 20 years, like Saddleback Church in Southern California, and so Willow Creek, and back in the east, and other large megachurches around the country have risen up. And essentially, this doctrine has turned these pastors, and many other smaller churches now as well, they've turned these formerly evangelical Christian, biblically based pastors into being community organizers instead. A very subtle change, but a very important change, as they buy into the idea that the way to nirvana, if you will, is to get all the churches in town together to save and heal the community. To do good things together, get together and have a marshmallow roast and sing Kumbaya, whatever. And they've essentially turned these pastors of these churches into community organizers.
Who turned them into community organizers?
This is the doctrine of communitarianism, a la Peter Drucker. This is where it came from. There have been organizations that have been consulting with megachurches for the last 30 years. One big one is an organization called Leadership Network. And they're steeped in this Peter Druckerism philosophy. And essentially, the idea is to build a community in your community. Build a community, not just with your church, both all the other churches. Let's all get together. Let's get the Episcopalians, and the Catholics, and whatever. Even the Muslims are welcome. Get everybody together and have social projects, and do good community stuff to help the poor and to have some food banks or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for helping the poor at my discretion. I don't want to be forced to do it by my church, but the idea of a person finding value in serving the greater good is very much a Marxist, communist, socialist idea. That it's not individualism that counts, it's your position in the community that counts, that gives you value. This is the same philosophy we see in technocracy. Your value, the value that you, John B. Wells, for instance, the value that you have is determined by your relationship to the community, not just your individual intrinsic value. It's dangerous, dangerous trend. There's a cartoon that somebody fished up from 1934 from the Chicago Tribune. I hope you can put that up for people. It's a larger cartoon, but I blew this part up. This is what the guy was writing on the bottom left-hand side. Plan of action for the U.S. Spend, 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 it says, under the guise of recovery. Bust the government, blame the capitalists for the failure, junk the Constitution, and declare a dictatorship.
From 1934, and yes, it's displayed on the screen.
1934, John. Can you imagine? I don't need to remind you, this is the year that Technocracy, Inc. was formed. And this was their plan then, and this is their plan today.
Yeah, and off to the left it says it worked in Russia.
So we see, today we look at the economy. What's going on? Why is everything like so crazy? They're doing the same thing today to try and kill off communism. Kill off capitalism. In fact, I printed an article. I wrote an article the other day that referenced a press release, by the United Nations head person on climate change policy. Her name is Christiana Figueres. She's a big mucky muck at the UN. She said in a press conference, and she's like Mrs. Agenda 21 Sustainable Development for the UN. So when she speaks, it's with authority. She says, quote, "This is the first time in the history of mankind that we are setting ourselves the task of intentionally, within a defined period of time, to change the economic development model that has been reigning for at least 150 years since the Industrial Revolution. That will not happen overnight, and it will not happen at a single conference on climate change. It is a process because of the depth of the transformation." Close quote. Direct quote. This woman, read between the lines, and actually you don't have to read too hard between the lines. This woman is saying capitalism is in the crosshairs of the sniper's rifle, folks, to kill it altogether. Well, that's what this cartoon says.
Yes.
These people want to kill capitalism once and for all, and the question is, what will they replace it with? Well, they've already defined their green economy, which I suggest is pure unadulterated technocracy from the 1930s, reinvented and reintroduced by the Trilateral Commission starting in 1973. I think the handwriting's just on the wall. And here's what technocracy looks like in the end. People go in the hopper, they go through the gears, and they come out all looking the same. Little robots to serve the scientific dictatorship because the system says to, and you must obey the system.
We got to make this into a T-shirt.
That would make a nice T-shirt, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Technocracy unveiled. And here's a copy of